I hope you can hear me.
I can.
Hi. Listen, it looks like we are live. I see that we have been
Yeah.
live now for 10 seconds. Listen, when it comes to purpose and fulfilling ministry, what they say, the devil is always busy, but I don't like to put him in a mix. So I say be prepared for everything. And when you're always ready, you don't have to get ready. So that was my lesson learned the last 10 minutes of my life prior to us getting on the screen. Welcome back. We are on Let's Talk. This is week 3. Y'all, I am so enjoying being back, but most of all because I get to talk to my friends. And listen, I have very few better friends than this one right here, Shaky One. You know how you don't always have to be
Did you just call
together,
me that on?
uh, but listen, you don't always have to be together, but it's you like family, and that's how I feel
Yeah.
about the class of 1995 who graduated from Hazelwood Central. We
Yes.
deep and very, very real. And even
Mhm.
though life caused me to have to move my senior year, I have never not claimed Hazel Central as my alma mater. I had the audacity, y'all, to be on the committee for the class reunion. Look at me.
You did. You did. I'm
Meanwhile, I
getting on this
graduated from
link.
Hazelwood West in 1995, but that's neither here nor there. Okay, I want to welcome my friend, Coach Shaquan. I want to get out the way because what we do on Let's Talk now is not an interview, y'all. This is a candid conversation, and I have experts on here so we can talk about what's going on now, current events, things that maybe are on your mind, different questions. So I advise you to uh, sit on down and get comfortable. We're gonna dive in. Go to YouTube. Well, you're on here because this is where the show is. Subscribe, hit the bell, and then you know every time I'm on here with my shenanigans, saints. But without further ado, I have talked long enough. Coach Shaquan, introduce yourself to
Yes.
them,
Well,
please.
hello, everyone. So yes, my name is Coach Shaquan. I am. I study. So let's just say that I study how people communicate, connect, and show up in personal and professional relationships. So I am the owner of PRT Coaching Services. We are a life, relationship, and leadership expert firm and focused on self-awareness strategies and mindset tools. And we really help our clients uh, expose the false realities that are happening. So let me go back. So it's the perceptions and reality truths that are happening within our lives. And so through the work that we're doing, I'm best known for being the brilliance and creator of Check Your BS. Where do this? Where where BS stands for belief system or whatever has you stuck in a pattern of thinking or way of doing that doesn't allow you to reach your goals or move forward or let go of something or someone. And so we do this focus on this particular work through coaching, through master classes, through group coaching, and really helping people to understand the belief systems that have them stuck from the bedroom to the boardroom and everywhere in between.
Listen, we got to interrupt the pattern, don't we? And you helping us do
Yes,
that. You
yes,
helping
yes,
us
yes,
do that.
yes, yes,
Listen, so
yes.
that's what this conversation. I feel like that's gonna be the little thing for tonight. Let's help us interrupt the pattern.
Yes.
And let's plant a seed in somebody's shundo. We're gonna
Hmm.
do that through candid conversation. Cause listen, you the expert, Coach Shaquan. So how do you, before we get into real candid conversation, just a little more about you, because I said this is not an interview, but at the same time, we have to let our viewers know who we dealing with and who we talking to. Uh, your process, how would, if I was coming in needing your services, do I have to book you through maybe like a conference? Is it kind of like a one-on-one situation? Or what's up? Like what's an experience with you like?
Yes. So first thing that I want to do is to make sure that we're a good fit. I could coach everyone on anything. There's a specific type of client that I know that I was called to help. And so in order for me to really understand what the belief systems are and what really has you stuck, it's very important for me to understand what your end goal is. And so there's three questions that I ask before I work with anyone, which is um, after working with me, right after working with Coach Shaquan, what is your desired outcome? Like what will have happened after we have worked together? The second one is wanting to know if people understand the difference between a therapist, a coach, and a counselor, and if they've worked with a coach before, or either one, and what has worked well or what they did not particularly care for, what wasn't successful. And then the last one is how soon they're ready to start. What I know to be truth is everyone that needs help, they don't want help. Everyone that wants it, they're not ready. And everyone that's not ready, they're not willing to take that next step, which is truly an investment in order to get the results that they want. So yeah, that would be the first place, and then after that, our first session is always with an assessment. So I offer what we call an energy assessment, and it's to help reveal your thought action pattern. So part of understanding what your belief system is and how your belief system was created was understanding the thought pattern. So thoughts create feelings, feelings create emotions, emotions create actions. What you think becomes what you do, and so we got to get clear on what your thought action pattern is, and we start with the assessment. Once we do the assessment, we have a 90-minute debrief where we go through the results, and then we start talking about what next steps are. Some people want to move forward and they're ready to make that next level of investment, and some people they're not, or they feel like they've gotten everything that they need. But that's where I'm going to start before we do any deep work.
Nice. Nice. Look at you. You sound like us. You sound like fine now. Listen, you are the life coach of the finance side. We take that same approach because that's the thing. In order to change the world, you have to change the man, and you can't change the man by giving him a fish. You have to change the man by teaching him a fish in so many words, seeing
Yeah.
themselves differently. I think one of the things that we battle with in our culture
Mhm.
is seeing that we have the ability to
Yep.
make these things happen in our life. Uh,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I deal a lot with finance, not a lot, I do. My company is finance. So we
Yes.
don't do, I don't give you advice like invest in this company, invest in this company. No, we provide financial literacy and education. We just make you aware.
Yes.
However, we found out that just the education piece, that's not enough because
Yes.
it's one thing to know and it's another to engage.
Yes.
And you have to take that holistic approach because anytime we are creating a process of habit stacking or of changing our way of thinking, that paradigm shift, looking at ourselves differently, understanding that we do have the ability to engage in
Mhm.
creating generational wealth. We do have the
Yep.
ability to save and invest and to be knowledgeable of our options. We do have the ability. Once you can look at yourself differently, we find that these
Mhm.
core values they go across the board. So the
Yeah.
one thing I like about find out when we do look at the holistic approach is we say if spiritually you are I'm loyal to who I believe in.
Mhm.
Whatever centers you. We talked about this earlier on the phone, and I feel like we're going to get to that. But I feel like whatever centers you, if you're loyal to Him, and so your loyalty to Him is I wake up at 6 a.m. and I take that time to pray, then you have to take that approach in every other area and
Mhm.
investing in yourself and investing in
Mhm.
your health and investing in your physical. Okay,
Right.
I'm loyal to me wanting a better. I'm tired of spending money on medicine. Let's say that. That's the easiest, example. I'm tired of
Right.
buying headache medicine. So now I'm going to take an hour every day, just like I
Mhm.
would in my devotion to my loyalty to who I believe in. I'm going to
Yeah.
take that also and spend an hour a day into, you know, my health, and then
Right.
let's see where we come up. And then do that
Yes.
same loyalty. I'm gonna spend an hour into my intellect, into getting where I want to be. I can do this, and this is
Mhm.
within me to do. And that's the
Yeah.
thing I love about you, that self empowerment. We teach financial empowerment. You teach self empowerment. It's
Mhm.
within you. We don't have to go out and search for diamonds in someone else's
Mhm.
yard. Let's turn over our yard and see what we find in our
Absolutely.
ground.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So listen, we talking. You know I'm
Yes.
now Coach Shaquan, and I try to stay professional and not call you what I want to call you, but I hope it's not too much of an echo where I am. But I'm ready to dig into
Yeah.
some conversation. I called you
Let's go.
earlier,
Mhm.
and I said there were some things I wanted to discuss with you, and
Mhm.
I feel like I just want to talk about it in front of everybody. So, you all who are joining us, hopefully we have people joining us. Please feel free to leave your comments and questions. Join in on our conversation. We talking,
Yes.
and we having a very candid conversation. This is what I like to. I like to be me, and I enjoy talking. Y'all know me. I love to talk. So let's talk, but we're gonna talk about stuff that matter. We want to change lives, don't we? Isn't that the goal? Isn't that the vision?
Absolutely.
So earlier we discussed. I watch Married to Medicine, y'all. For those who watch reality TV, join me. Don't make me look like the only one that her guilty pleasure. And I noticed that the niece was she was doing yoga and crystals with her nieces and nephews and things like that. Um, I've always wondered about that, and the sage. You know, I was
Mhm.
born and raised in church, so for us, that's not something, I grew up with that being in the house. But I've
Mhm.
always wondered about um, people's, you know, their belief in that
Right.
and
Right.
the faith that work. But I guess they feel it's something tangible. Can you what do you think about that? What do you think about yoga and crystals and sage and all of that? And I'm gonna have to put my camera off because I have a little situation in my kitchen going on, but I'm
Okay.
listening. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Sure. So, as I was mentioning earlier, I not an avid or consistent in the yoga or the saging. Is saging, is that a word? We're gonna use that as a word. Um, I have done yoga before. I do believe in the benefits of yoga, um, and have enjoyed it the times that I have done it. I have sage. I don't have it with me, but I have a one of my friends gave me a sage stick one time to cleanse the house. Um, and I actually had a friend that gave me some crystals. Now that I think about it as well, so they're not things that I practice regularly. However, I do believe that there are some benefits to it, and whatever you can do to get yourself centered, right? There's a lot of distractions that are happening around, and so when we begin to talk about, again, your belief system and checking your BS,
Mhm.
uh, because there's so much experiences that come, so many past things that have happened, so much trauma, so much assumption, so much information that's being thrown to you. I absolutely encourage anyone to find something that will help them to pull back and attach to. So I'm a Christian, so I say attach to God, attach to the Holy
Mhm.
Spirit,
Mhm.
uh,
Mhm.
for whatever your beliefs may be in terms of attaching to or finding somewhere to center yourself with your higher power. I'll just say out of respect for anyone who in whatever you believe in, but really having that place where you are tapping into that higher power and into that, if it's yoga, right? Finding something that lets you to detach from those distractions and those things that can be very draining to your mindset and center yourself. I highly recommend.
I to be honest, I have to admit I'm not that well educated on what it is. It's not that I've ever felt. I know some Christians feel like it's almost like, oh, sorcery or this or that. It's not that to me. I feel like there
Mhm,
is more than one interpretation, right? Because
mhm,
I feel like we're all looking out of from the windows of our house, from the windows
mhm,
of our experience, our environment, those things that shape us, make us, like you said, from traumas to triumphs
mhm,
to
mhm,
those things. So I'm not saying that one person's way of doing things is, that it has to be, one way or the other. I feel like
mhm.
everyone's journey is their journey. How you get there, the goal is to arrive, right? We, as
Yeah,
we say, specialize in results.
yeah.
But for me, I've never been that knowledgeable of what it is. And I've always felt that if the goal is to cleanse your the energy around you or your space, or if the goal is to have something that centers you, or if the goal is to have something that you know uh, uh, brings you to a place of awareness or wholeness,
Mhm,
or
mhm.
you know being one with what you're thinking. You know how it is when they say you are centered. Am I
Yeah,
saying that right?
yeah,
So then,
absolutely.
when I think about that, I still feel like I rely on my relationship with Christ for all of those
Mhm,
things. So then, I find like those to me are things that people can see
mhm,
that helps them. And maybe that's what I'm missing with it, because I'm legit trying to get the train of thought with it, because I'm not here.
mhm.
I don't know. I honestly
Yeah.
don't. I'm not I do, what does where do you know where it comes from? Like what's the history?
So I think that it's important to know the background, right? And to do some
Mhm.
research on it and to
Mhm.
find that out. So it is for me, it's not a replacement of the spiritual relationship that I have with
Okay.
Christ. It is a way for me to be connected because I can center myself. You know, if you have all it, so this is me, if I'm having a lot of distractions and everything going down, even when I go down in prayer, I still hear the voices and those things in the back of my mind. And so if I take a minute to breathe, if I take a minute to stretch, if I take a minute to do some yoga. So again, I have the crystals and I've been told like set this one out and do this and do that. Again, I don't know enough about it. There was nothing inside of me that moved me to say, yes, I want to be interested in this. But I do believe that there are things that you can do again to place you in the position so that you can have clarity in order to receive the word or to have a conversation with Christ. And so that's the way that I see some of those things, not as a replacement for, but more as a way to make sure that you are present and in a space to
Intentional.
receive the word. Yeah.
Intentional. That's what I'm
Hmm.
hearing. That's what I kind of,
Yeah.
even to what you're saying. It does. I
Hmm.
kind of see what you mean now. Uh, it does bring a a point of intention. I feel like the concern is to make sure that people aren't, how they did back in the day, where they worship the creature and not the creator.
Right.
So I
Right. So
feel
it's
like it's
definitely, yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like it's important. I think in anything we do, to be
Hmm.
mindful of that.
Right.
Like, let's
Absolutely.
just understand. Oh, look at me. Y'all listen. when I say normally, I am together with it for this because this show and Fight Out is my passion. But today I had every technical difficulty, lights going out, kitchen going crazy. I thought something was off and it was listen, everything, but I when we talk about distractions, I can see that. That's where that comes in. Like, listen,
Yeah,
girl,
yeah,
sometimes you do need to be sent. You need something, or some may need something
right.
uh tangible,
Yeah,
something that they could see to help them be intentional with
yeah,
being centered, with being present, with being, so I'm with
yeah,
it. I'm with it.
yeah.
Okay, I got you. I got you. I learned something. Look at me. Look at me. Listen. Each one teach one.
Yeah.
We were also talking about, okay, so then I will say perfect segue, but we may as well just go ahead and moving right along.
Yeah.
Uh, but um, but I do want to say, speaking of being intentional, so this is perfect
Hmm.
segue. Look at me. I want to discuss relationships because I
Okay.
feel like that's your, y'all see what I'm saying? I feel like that's your thing. I feel
I'm an
like that's
expert.
your
Yes, I'm an
ministry.
expert. Yeah.
Yeah, look at you. That's your mission. When we talk about intention and being intentional, I think we talked about because I am, listen, married to medicine. This is a great segue between married to medicine and everybody keep talking about Portia and the whole situation. I talked about it on my show with Arthur Bailey West 2 weeks ago. We talked about kind of not judging until you're in that person's shoes. But when we look at relationships, when we look at being intentional, when we look at what's going on, how do you feel about her and what they say she's
So,
dating this
truth
lady's
and
now
transparency.
ex-husband?
Truth and transparency. I don't watch those things. I just they don't offer me any value except for me looking at I'm being entertained by people who do
Entertainment, literally.
the same ish that regular people do for free.
Mm-hmm,
Like
mm-hmm,
that's my thing. So I
mm-hmm,
did hear about the
mm-hmm,
situation.
mm-hmm,
Listen, this is my perspective in terms of relationships. Our relationships are defined by the way you communicate, the way you connect, the way you show up. Okay. And
mm-hmm,
so using those three things, all relationships start with potential expectation and physical attraction. We get the sex out the way, the physical attraction, the sex, we get that out the way real quick. So
mm-hmm,
after you have that connection, the next thing you're left with is potential and expectations. And so even given her situation, from what I know, is she dated an ex, it was an ex-partner of somebody they
mm-hmm,
dated for
mm-hmm,
3 weeks and now they married and they're
mm-hmm,
getting, I
mm-hmm,
mean,
mm-hmm,
I have a friend that met and married her husband within 3 weeks. No, let me lie,
mm-hmm,
within a month,
mm-hmm.
about 5 6 weeks, and they've been married for 22 years with 2 kids. So I don't know that there is an exact formula to it. It does feel unorthodox. Um, and I do believe that there is a time that is necessary to get to know each other, and realizing that the person that you meet will be different from the person that you marry, will be different from the person that you are
Mhm.
married to.
Mhm.
Right. And so
Mhm.
there will be some changes, again, talking about that potential and expectation that comes into that space. And
Mhm.
so that's where the challenges begin to come in, because the expectations that we have of a partner begin to change, and we don't realize that it's somewhat of the change that's happening within ourselves, right? And so we want them to change, we want them to shift, because it would make it easier for us not to have to dig into our own selves to make those shifts and make those changes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But do you so first of all, yes, that's why you are the but second of all, it's stuff like that though. Stuff like watching these reality shows, getting engrossed in these people's lives, their
Hmm.
business, their personal, our expectations of what we feel a relationship is.
Yeah.
Does that sometimes, do you feel jade the real relationship. Like we in real life, dealing day to day, and now that Portia got a $40 million man, now all of a sudden you want your husband to be a $40 million man.
Right. I
Now
think
that
it
she
does.
is,
Yeah.
so then and we get caught up talking about this, talking about
Yeah.
her like we know her,
Yeah.
talking
I
about
think that it
them
does.
like we know them, and
Yeah.
then next thing we know, it has influenced how
Hmm.
we view our own real relationship.
Yeah.
So as
I think
much as
it
I,
validates. I'm
go
sorry.
ahead.
What?
No, but I'm with you. I'm with you because I'm with you. I listen. I'm picking up what you're putting down because I do feel like it gives us what we feel like something to compare it to, so that we don't have to do the work in our own relationship. Look at them.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it sometimes those relationships that we get to see play out validates why we are doing what's happening in our relationships, or why we are avoiding being in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
It does that, and so when we look at these shows, sometimes we're looking for a piece of connectivity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Something that you could say, okay, yep, see, I did the same thing, and this is how I'm supposed to act, right? And so
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it's somewhat given a false narrative of how we are in relationship with other people, right? When another woman says something to me, then I'm supposed to pop off at her, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
what I'm supposed to do because they're doing it. And of course, they're doing it because they are on TV and they are influencers. This is how I'm supposed to act. Well, they're being paid to do that. Right. And
Mm-hmm.
so for me, I stopped watching this. I stopped watching a long time ago. It just got to, for me, it did not add a healthy perspective to
Mm-hmm.
what I believe in terms of relationships and marriage. And
Mm-hmm.
they all these Real Housewives don't none of them be married. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. I don't. I just right there alone, it just does not.
Or
It
not
does not.
long.
Yeah, it just doesn't meet what I consider valuable information. And so oftentimes you have, what I hear from a lot of couples is they don't have other couples to minister with, or to mentor under, or to be in relationship with. And so all you have is what you're seeing by people who are being paid to cause the drama. And
The
so
mayhem and foolishness, as
yeah.
my sister-in-law would say. I would tell you this. I had gone years without watching it. I'm an avid reader. I love
Mhm,
to, and then I have a membership to Audible.
mhm.
Uh, but I do. That is my, I don't want to think TV because there's nothing else really on. I don't watch gore.
There are plenty of shows on. What? Plenty of
I'm
shows.
okay. So one thing about me is I am a one, what they call a one trick pony. Remember that phrase?
Hmm.
I don't like, if it's not a documentary, funny, or at least kind of based on a true story, then you lost me. I don't do sci-fi,
Right.
fantasy,
Right.
action. I am boring. I still listen to the same CDs, the same gospel artists that I have all my
Hmm.
life. I only listen to Ricky Dillard and James Hall and my saying. I don't branch out. I am very, the only thing I do new are books because I love to learn. That's my
Right.
favorite thing. That's my
Yeah.
favorite thing. So then I
So what are you
do.
currently reading?
Okay, I went back to, because I do. I like to teeter.
Mhm.
When something bless my shondo and I feel like I'm at a certain place in my life, then I
Yeah.
go back. So I am going back to, one of the books I'm reading is How to Own Your Mind, and
Okay.
the other book is The Road Less Traveled. Oh
Okay.
my goodness. It's so good. It's juicy. The Road Less Traveled really is talking about truth and living in your truth.
Mm. I
And
gotta go grab this book. I'm here. I just gotta go grab this book real quick. Keep
no,
going. I'll be
please,
back. I'm,
as
I'm
you
here,
should.
y'all.
Listen, if I can go to the kitchen, you can go get your book. As you should.
So
As
tell
you
me, The Road Less
should.
Traveled. Who was that by?
Yes. The one thing, and while you going, I'm gonna talk about my books. Okay. Uh, I listen to one book in the morning when I take my daughter Maddie to school, and then I like to listen to a book when I go to bed. Okay. The Road Less Traveled. deals in the role of walking in truth, even if it requires suffering. And I know that sounds like, oh, so cliche and so regular, but people don't understand when you are in a place in your life where you wake up and realize you don't know who you are, where you've been for the last,
Mhm.
whatever, whatever. Um, the first thing you have to do is look in the mirror and get to the bottom of who you are.
It's
And
so this is people say that and they make it seem so easy. Like you look
no,
in the
no,
mirror and you say, "Who
no,
am I?" And
no,
then it's supposed to come to you.
no,
No, you have to
no.
experience the break before you have the build. There absolutely will be something very, I call it the boom, the big boom. There will be
Listen,
something that will come from unexpected. It will be death. It will be tragedy. It will be some type of loss. Something is going to
something,
happen that is going to shift you. Something will
something.
happen. Listen, something will happen that will force you when your back is against the wall and you have gone to the bottom. You can't go left, you can't go right, you can't go up, you can't go forward. And the only thing you are left to do is to look yourself in the mirror and say, how did I get here? How did I get
Ah,
here? And
yeah,
the next question for me is, how long am I willing to stay?
yeah. Listen, listen, listen,
So
listen,
that
listen,
whole people, you
listen.
just got to find yourself. Tell the
No,
truth. You don't just find yourself. You have to lose all of who you thought you were, because there will always be a difference between who you were, who you are, and who you desire to be. And until
listen,
you are willing to look at who
listen,
you have become
listen, listen.
and realize that this no longer works for me,
Yeah,
I don't recognize her
yeah,
or I don't recognize him,
yeah,
then we got to find ourselves. Tell people the truth. You will have the break before you
yeah,
experience the
yeah.
build.
Oh, absolutely, 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 absolutely. There has to come to a point, first of all, where
Hi, Internet.
you recognize that there's a problem. You know what I mean? And a lot of times that happens when something exposes
Oh, you will
uh,
be exposed.
you. Humility typically comes from humiliation. Let's start
Hmm.
there.
Hmm.
So when you are being humbled or you are in the place of your shame, we talked about, I love the scripture where we talk about, y'all know I got to go back to the Bible because it's holistic. Uh, the story of Peter, and we're talking about Peter, and I call him Yeshua, but for the audience sake, we'll call him Jesus. Um, but when Jesus told Peter he was going to deny him, Peter was like, "No, I'm not." He's like, "You're going to deny me 3 times." And I don't want to spend a lot of time on it creating a sermon, but the long and short is, after Peter denied him,
Hmm.
when he was revealed to Mary and the other Mary and Martha and them at the tomb, uh, he said, "Now go tell the disciples and Peter." Why? Because Peter, in his shame, had ostracized himself. He
Hmm.
had taken himself down to the low of the low. And a lot of times in our shame, that's what we'll do. We'll become disconnected from everything we think we knew, everything we know. I'm not who they say I am. I'm not even worthy of this position. Don't even
Hmm.
call me this. Don't even
Right.
say this. Don't even. And when we get to that place, that's the place where, like he did with him, he reveals himself. Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
stop. I just came up with that. He
Yeah.
dropped that in my spirit right now.
Yeah. 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 I
It's
want
in
to
that
address a couple
place.
of so first, Antoinette, hi, how are you? I'm seeing
Why
some
am I
comments
not
here.
saying?
Karen Moore said a lot of people are afraid of finding themselves out of fear of what would be revealed. Absolutely correct. One of the things that I say all the time is it's not that you don't know, it's more that you are afraid of what you'll find out. Because now, what will I do with this unfamiliar space? I have learned how to function within the dysfunction of how I'm showing up. I have been able to deceive this person, I've been able to put a perception of this out. And so, if you really knew the truth of me and who I am, and what I'm standing for and what I think about myself, then how will I be received? And so the fear of judgment, the fear of rejection, the fear of exposure, and the fear of really being successful in who I am becoming comes up. So no, I don't want you to know about me. I want find out about myself because I just don't know what that's going to look like and how that's going to be perceived. And so yeah, the same thing. And even using what you're saying too and bringing the scripture into it, yeah, people are like, no, because if people really believe that I am connected to you, what will they think about me? So no, I'm not going to tell that truth.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But
Yeah,
then, and
I'm
then
not
what
going.
make it worse is in that we end up defending ourselves, and it the only way we know how from the jump.
Hmm.
We
Hmm.
defend our. There we go. Oh, now I see. Come
Yeah.
on, comments and chat. Okay, I want to see. I want to be in on the joke. But we do. We tend to, and then we defend ourselves the only way we know.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
because we're used to the cover, we're used to the mask, we're used to wearing the armor, we're used to the cover up, and then we're used to the struggle and the fight that
Yeah,
comes
and the
from,
belief system,
and the
right?
that comes from.
What what
So
what my
then,
mama told me. My mama told me you don't tell nobody your business.
yeah,
You
yeah,
ain't got no
yeah,
business. And
yeah,
every successful business has a board of directors.
yeah,
And so who you hiding from?
yeah, yeah. But that's
Why?
because we usually what my listen, Karen Moore is on here. She's my favorite who says that what we see will be. What we see will be, no matter how much we try to fight it, until we interrupt that pattern, until we
Hmm.
break that, what we see will be. So if your mother is telling you to keep your mouth closed, then typically we keep our mouth closed, and we teach
Yeah.
our children to keep their mouth closed. Then we
Yeah.
don't even realize we're doing it. We just don't know any other way to be.
Yeah.
So we keep showing up the same toxic way until if you allow, the one thing I like about having a relationship or being centered with wanting to show up as my best self is I try to learn the lesson. So I'm always how do you say, approached. And I always find myself around people
Hmm.
who can feed me and feed this. So I try to be open to uh,
Hmm.
that. But I, when you allow the Lord to, or when you, I'm sorry, because we're trying to keep it, for everybody, when you allow yourself to be vulnerable and open to understanding that, hey, listen, I can't keep being this way, and I'm not finding joy. I found myself at a place where I didn't know what I liked and what
Hmm.
I as TD Jakes would say, what I would drop the dishes for. I
Yeah.
didn't know what my real passion was and what my service was and what I, because all this time I was hiding behind all these distractions and being busy and looking
Yeah.
productive and acting productive, and but uh, it's not until you're in that place where, and we don't know what causes or what he'll bring, I'll say that,
Right.
to
Right.
put you there.
Absolutely. 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 Look, I did. I ran and got my books. I saw before we got away
Oh,
from that. I wanted to share this. So this is
please.
what I'm currently reading.
We should. Oh, Q. Okay, come on. Okay, tell us
Must.
what's up.
Must,
What's
must,
she?
must,
What's that
must,
about?
must, 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 must. So Rachel Rogers, and so I'm going to give you all again. We should all, am I on the screen? We should all be millionaires by Rachel Rogers. So I had a friend who recommended it to me, and I started listening to it on Audible. And I was 22 minutes into the. It wasn't. What is the thing before the first chapter? Like the introduction. 22 minutes into the introduction, I was like, I went straight to Amazon. I was like, no, I have to get
You
touchy
have to have
feely
a
with
thing.
this.
Oh, look at
Y'all,
you.
please, 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 please. If you are looking for something to stimulate your mind and call you out on your BS, right?
Definitely.
It's and it's not only for people who are entrepreneurs or business owners aspiring. It has some things in there that we do in terms of our relationship with money and why we aren't further along in our financial wealth and legacy and
Mm-hmm.
it is. I mean, she is just talking about some really really good stuff in here. So highly recommend that. And then I
Yes.
just finished reading Professional Troublemaker.
Okay. Look,
Oh,
I have that in my. It's in my thing. I have that on Audible. It's
I
in
listened to
mine.
it.
I
Yep,
was
same
going.
thing with
I
this.
know, and I need to get. I told you I'm habitual, so I
Hmm.
do just like I listen to the same music and the same
Yeah.
artists. I read the same books. Oh, I've read The Alchemist now. I'm going to start it for the third time.
Oh
I
wow.
keep reading these old because I love the way when you find your path, you research the people who have already uh, walked it, and
Hmm.
I feel like that makes it easier. So
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
they they
Absolutely.
happen to be walking the path I'm walking. I love, but
Absolutely.
thank you. Interrupt my
Yeah.
little. Please take me out of my comfort zone. I'm gonna pull that. I'm gonna
I
pull
just
it
I love
out.
them. And so here's the thing. This is truth and transparency. I don't like to read. I don't like to read. I
But the
don't.
Audible is everything. If you don't
Audible
like to
is
read,
everything for people who
yeah.
don't like to read. And so when I'm in the car, and because now we're back driving, right? Everywhere.
Yeah.
And I'm in the car. So I have access to Apple Music, Spotify, XM
Uh,
radio,
uh,
local radio.
uh,
I can all of this, and I'm like, they play the same
the same
song. Why am I
song.
listening to this? Like, why am I listening to this stuff? And so I'm like, no, I'm going to get myself together. And so I listen to my audiobook when I'm driving
Yes.
in the car. I had another dear friend that I was like, when I'm selling dope in my head when I'm working out. I'm getting it. When she was like, start listening to your audiobook. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. So now I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
So it's not that we don't have time.
Yeah.
It's just what we choose to do with the time that we have. And
Listen,
so
absolutely.
um, just highly, highly encourage you all. If you're like I said, I don't like to read. My mind wanders, but the audiobooks have really been helpful. And when
And
I find something that sticks in,
it's 14.99. And this the
yeah,
thing I like. A lot of times, like, okay, let's just be honest. I don't know who all read the Barack Obama book, but I
I'm
did
still
it on
reading.
girl, I did it on Audible.
Yeah, I'm
1,000
still listening.
hours later, I finally finished it.
Oh,
But
you
I
did?
love, girl, finally. It was good though. It was
Yeah, it's
interesting.
good. I haven't gotten through it, but it's good.
Girl, it's so long. But I like that it was in his voice. So every
Yeah.
day, poor Maddie, listen, Barack was in her shondo her whole school year. Cause
Yeah.
every morning, that's what but I like talk radio. To me, and I think it's because I'm a singer and I
Hmm.
do shows. I don't like music in the car. I think that's why I listen to the same artist
Mm,
whenever I do listen to music. I don't
yeah.
know who is popping because that's just not. It's music has never
Oh,
been
honey, now
my.
look, I got to stay relevant in these streets, so I
Look,
do
as you
stay
should, as you should.
stay
But
relevant.
look, I've always been a nerd. I'm fancy and flashy, but a nerd to say the
I'm a
least. So
retired hot
I listen
girl.
to talk radio. I do. I listen
Mm,
when I'm on.
that's good.
If I'm not listening to Audible books, I listen to Bloomberg or MSNBC because I have the
Yeah.
satellite. So I
Yeah.
am a nerd, but I'm a nerd whose guilty pleasure is Ratchet TV.
And nothing like that. So I'm curious for those that are joining us if they can share. Are they avid readers? Are they reading anything that they would recommend? Because I'm always looking for the next read. Another, The Big Leap. I love that by Gary. What's his name? Gary somebody. The Big Leap was another good one that I just read. But yeah. So again, listening has worked well for me as opposed to being able to sit down and read because my mind is just always just yeah.
And you can do two things at once. I walk around Pre-Court Lake Park and then boom, the book.
Hmm. Hmm.
So it's a way to
Yeah,
get knowledge. Listen,
it is.
uh, the Bible says faith comes by
Oh my
hearing.
God.
Don't
Oh my
underestimate your
God.
ears
Mhm.
because
Oh,
what comes in your
absolutely.
ears goes right, it lodges into your subconscious. And
Yes.
it's that subconscious that is when we talk about the book I'm reading, How to Own Your Own Mind,
Hmm.
there are 5 levels to your thought process and your thinking. Look at you. Come on, retire hot girl. Okay, listen.
Listen,
As you but
that's
what
me.
I'm I'm just saying. We want to try to allow our subconscious or try to automate. That's what fine art teaches too. Try to automate as much as we can
Hmm.
because automation leads to liberation. It just does.
Hmm.
As much as you can get out of your own way, the
Yeah.
better. So, okay, I want to ask you. We want to talk about. We were talking about relationships, and I want to get
Hmm.
back to that. I feel
Okay.
like that makes a good conversation. And we're not just talking about relationships with marriages, but when we talked earlier, I asked you what was the thing when we talk about biblical relationships, and that was more. Ownership, basically. Let's just call it what it is.
Yeah.
And for them to be fruitful and multiply. Where do we as women fit, or what do you think we as women fit now in? Uh, Now that our relationships are romantic, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Back then, it was an arrangement. That's why Solomon could have 700 wives and
Hmm.
300 wives and 700 concubines. He had 1,000 women. That's why
Hmm.
he could do that because it wasn't about relationship.
Right.
When we talk about relationships, where do you think in Western civilization, where we are now, after the pandemic, everybody was tested and tried, but they made it.
Yeah.
What do you think is the? Let's talk about relationships. Where are
Hmm.
you coming from with it? Where do you think we fit? That's really what I want to know.
As
Um,
women.
yeah, as women now, like how do we? How do we? Oh, and I'm trying not to give away your answer because I guess I'm not setting up the question right. Because I did like what you said about figuring out who we are first before we figure out, who we are as a
Yeah.
wife. But
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So this was something that was learned, right? And so the
yeah, I pray for my
challenges,
setup. I'm gonna get better. Listen, I'm gonna start studying Johnny Carson to see how to lead
Johnny
Coach
Carson.
Shaquan to the right question I'm trying to answer without beating around the bush. Because she came in like, oh, let's be specific. Let's go.
Not
Ready,
in
good,
my
let's go.
nature, in my nature. So when we talk about relationships, and so specifically, I have landed on this concept of finding the woman inside the wife, and so really understanding, and I mentioned this earlier, that the person who you meet will be different from the person whom you marry, would be different from the person with whom you're married to, and so that challenge of really getting into marriage. So, and let me go back. Let me go back. So I talked about relationships were defined by how you communicate, connect, and how you show up. People begin relationships with potential expectation and sexual attraction. Uh, that making that choice to get married uh, is always that thing, right? That thing that you kind of have a doubt about, or that thing that you don't like that much, or that thing you just like, right? It could be better. I wish there wasn't there. We say yes, especially as women, right? We say yes because of three reasons. Number one, you think he will change. Number two, you think you can change him.
Mm-hmm.
Or number three, you think that you can deal with it. And so the majority of women that I have had conversation with and coached, uh, they thought that they could deal with it, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
it'll be fine. You get to a point again because you are consistently changing, right? That dealing with it, you got a deck of cards, and I mean, I didn't play every spade I got. Right. And so once you are left with the two of diamond and the two of heart, you're like,
Listen,
okay, well, where are all the rest of my cards? Like, I don't have
listen.
anything else to deal with. I don't have anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And so you begin to question yourself, and you begin to lose yourself, and you become defined by who you are in relationship with other people. So whether it be in a work environment, right? I work for these people. Or it could be in if you're a parent, right? I am such and such as mom, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I just found myself working for, how did I get to be his wife, their mom of my two boys, and working for this company when I was working in corporate America, that I just felt like nobody knew who I was. I just felt lost and felt very broken in that space. And so really finding that place of understanding who I was how I began to really peel back the layers and say, I wanted so much for my husband to change. I wanted so much for the people at the job to change and stop doing this. I wanted so much for my kids to start doing this, that I never really understood or realized that if I did not find define who I was as a woman, then I would not be able to be a wife, right? And I would not be able to be a mother, and I would not be able to be all of these things in whom I was in relationship with. And so I really began to define who I wanted to be. And so that was a big change and a big deal for me.
Where do you feel that mindset fits? And I don't mean to interview you, but listen, I have questions. In across the board, I feel like I was asked the question. I recently had an interview, and I was asked the question, "How do I deal with stress?" And I was like, "Well, first of all, I'm a middle child, and it's what I do. I'm considered the rock." I said, "But I deal with it by deciding which hat I have to wear." How do you find yourself wearing those same hats in every relationship? Do you find yourself ever been a mom with your friends, a mom at your job, a friend with your coworkers, a boss with your friends? Like, how do you on mute? How do you uh how do you that's okay. How do you, because what you're saying, I feel like that role comes up not just in being a wife, discovering the woman you are, but I
Mm-hmm.
feel like we have to define the woman we are for boundaries in our life, period.
You just keyword. You just hit it. Boundaries. So this is what I describe when I'm working with clients that feel like they are something to someone. Uh, it I call them the helper healer fixers. Right? You are the helper healer fixer. You're the one that everybody calls on. You fix it. You help them. You heal it. Like that is your role. And then you step back and you answer the question like, who hired you to do that? Number one, who hired you to do that? Number two is what makes you think that it won't get done or they won't be okay without you.
Mm-hmm.
And so oftentimes we find ourselves being in a place of helper, healer, fixer because we want to be liked. We want to be liked and we want to be valued and we want to be seen and we want to be appreciated. And so the more we can help heal and fix, the more people will like us. And we find that validation in how other people perceive us as being able to help and support them. But guess what? At the end of the night, when you go lay your head down, you look around and ain't nobody there to help heal or fix you, right? You're the strong one, right? And so strength becomes your thing that you're known for. And then it's very difficult to break out of that space without creating the key word, which you just said, the boundaries, right? So I draw this line. I'm responsible for everything inside of this line. So I get to control the energy that comes in, the people that come in, all of this. And then I must be controlled and say that there are some things that I was not called to do. Stay in your lane, sis. Stay in your lane.
Yeah. I was gonna say, and I think you listen. You said it. I think that's where we make the left turn at Albuquerque, is allowing somebody else to appraise you. Like,
Yeah.
why are you walking in my house and determining my worth and putting a price tag on
Yeah.
whether I have a basement or not, or how many bathrooms I have? Why am I? But we do. And I think you said exactly right. And you said it earlier. I think it is trauma. I think it is a lot of those past hurts where we allow look at this, what someone else said to determine how much our house costs, instead of saying, listen, this is how much my house is worth, whether you like it or not. But I
Yeah.
feel like we get there. And I
Yeah.
feel
And then
like
who
we
are you doing
lose.
that for?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, being very
Yeah.
intentional about your purpose for doing that, for sharing that, and how does that validate you by the things that you have, right? I'm more into experiences than things,
Yeah.
right? Give me something that can stimulate my mind, something that I can have a conversation about, something that I can share something in wisdom. Now, don't get me wrong, I like nice things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I'm going to treat myself to nice things when I want them. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not taking away that you cannot purchase these things, because I want to normalize Black luxury, right? So let's
Mm-hmm.
stop.
Mm-hmm.
So if I do have a home that has that's an enormous home, and I have all of these luxuries and this and this and this, that's not that's what I don't I prefer not to have a conversation about my home. What did I do? How did I position myself so that I could get these things? Because it may be something that someone else desires, not to have what I have. But they're like, like I have friends that are moving, friends and families. That I'm like, okay, so tell me what y'all plan was. Like, how did y'all really start sitting down and making the determining factor? Like, those are the things I want to know,
Mm-hmm.
not how much you pay for this and how you get this. And my
Mm-hmm.
how you get this is more like, put me on the game because I want to level up as well. So
Yeah,
it's just a different.
but it comes with the mentality. You know what I mean? You live and learn.
Mm-hmm.
When your uh, affection is set on uh, temporary and temporal things, then your approach is
Mm-hmm.
going to have temporary results and effects. When
Right.
we are really looking at the, like we talked about earlier, the legacy of it all, then
Mm-hmm.
you typically lead with your heart and your passion, and
Yeah.
so then the money finds you. The money
Yeah.
finds you. And you do ask the right questions because
Yeah.
your goal and mission is not how do I get this car, but how do I, how can I, what are the things I value?
Mm-hmm.
Where do I place my value? But then again, it starts
Yeah.
with how we appraise ourselves and our own
Yeah.
value. If you don't
Yeah.
value yourself, then you don't know what you value, and then you don't know what to go after. You don't know what to
Yeah.
focus on. I
Yeah.
like the way TD Jakes said in that you what you value gets your attention.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
uh, when we when we first figure out what we value and what's in our heart, then it the money follows that. So then
Mm-hmm.
you, like you said, you find yourself being surrounded by people, but you will eliminate that automatically because you have defined who you are. And if
Yeah.
you are one
Absolutely.
who value yourself, and that's the definition of who you are, then you
Yeah.
eliminate riffraff and what is it? What did I call my ratchet TV shows? And you eliminate that, Coach Shaquan. You don't have time for the
Yeah. And I
it's
mean,
all
sometimes, so
man.
here's the thing. My husband will tease me because, like, if it's like a Saturday afternoon and there's nothing on TV and I'm switching through, I will find myself landing on that. And and I'll be sitting there and he's like, what you know? I'm like, I didn't got caught. Like, what? And it won't be long because part of me is looking at, I'm coaching as I'm watching. So it's
Yeah,
a
it's
different type
unfortunate.
of indulgence for me if I so happen to watch it. But yay.
Listen, you like, I can fix your life, sweetheart. You have daddy issues, sweetheart. You got,
We just may
baby. You
have to
don't have to
people to
do
be
that to get the
aware and have the
card.
courage, right? To be aware and have the courage, right? It takes courage to be honest with yourself about yourself. And so if you can have that place of courage to say, look, things aren't going the way that I would want them to go. I'm not where I thought I would be. And keeping up this perception to fool people, to keep people off my trail, right? It's starting to wear me down. And so we start talking about being authentic and really living a life that is grounded in teaching people how to treat you, right? This is who I am. And
Mm-hmm.
everything ain't for everybody. Like, we get
Mm-hmm.
our herbs on, right? So everything ain't
Mm-hmm.
for everybody. And that's
Mm-hmm.
okay, right?
Mm-hmm.
There is a tribe that you can build and people will follow you. Get your brand together, right? Find
Mm-hmm.
yourself in a position where you know who you are, what you do, who you serve, and why.
Yeah.
And the people who are intended to come to you, whether it be for networking, whether it be for a customer, or whether it be if you're looking to collaborate, or whatever that relationship, if it's romantic relationships, right? Be that one attract, right? Be the one who is chosen and not the one who's settled for in any relationship.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I
Listen,
got.
that's my motto. And look, with 50 seconds, that's my motto. I go where I'm celebrated, not tolerated. I don't have time for it.
Yeah.
Not in my 40s. I don't have
Yeah.
time for that. Another thing, you said something that made me think of something that I wanted to close on, but I like that. Listen, what they say, don't try to come after the preacher and preach, because then you mess up every time. But I do, you go where you celebrate it,
You were
and
funny.
not where you tolerate it. I don't know whether I have time for that.
Yeah.
Coach Shaquan, it's
Yes.
always a
Thank
delight
you for
talking to
having
you.
me.
I wish we had all night to talk. I know that today
Yes.
seemed kind of, off the cuff, but
Hmm.
I wanted to have a candid conversation with you in front of
Yes.
everybody. I wanted to be as
Thank
goofy as I
you.
always am with you. I wasn't going to make any airs. I wasn't going to be fancy,
Yes.
even though I need you to be fancy, because you're always fancy. You're always fancy.
See, and that's the thing. People say that this is very little effort. Okay, I got on leggings. You can't even see.
Listen,
You don't even
as
want
you
to see. That's
should.
why I
As
had
you
turned the camera off because you don't want to see all of this. What's underneath here? But this is who I am. This is I love effortless, right? And so because if I get all and I do all of that, then I'm too worried about, oh my God, does this look like this browse out? This is where my value speaks, not on what you see here.
It is. It is. It is. I love it. One thing I want to encourage everybody: when you come back, I feel like the way that some of the Coach Aquan dropped all these nuggets. I feel like I dropped a couple nuggets too, because that's what we
Yes,
do. We have these
yes.
candid conversations. Thank you, great show, ladies. Thank you.
Amen.
But this is what I want to say. Even if you feel like you have had trauma, experienced trauma early on in your life, you don't have to go back and keep reliving that. Assess where you are,
Yeah,
evaluate what's around you, and then take the tools and move forward.
yeah,
Leave
yeah,
misery behind. Leave
yeah,
it behind. It's over.
yeah.
It's over. But press forward. Coach Shaquan, you the
Yeah.
best. Tell us how to find you if we
Thank
want to
you.
press forward, if we want to take our tools and not
Yes,
and stop living in the past and move to where our destination is. Where can we find
yes.
you?
Absolutely. So the first thing that I would encourage you to do is to go to my website, checksyourbs.com. And there is it's a quiz on there. So it's a free quiz. You go in and it's going to help you to understand your current place, your current level of your belief system. Great tools. You'll get on my list and I drop a lot of gems in your email. So definitely would encourage you to do that. And then I'm on social media on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn, all at Coach Shaquan. So please join me there, and I would love to stay connected with everyone who is watching us live and who would go back and watch the replay. Yeah.
Yay! So what Find Out does is, in case everybody don't know how we work by now, but you will because I'm always talking about it every week. But we also offer you a network as part of the opportunity to look at yourself different. And our
Mm.
network is a network of experts. So we have the links on our website where we can connect you to Coach Shaquan. If you like
Mm.
what you heard, even beyond this, she will be in our archives. If you become a member of Find Out Consulting Group, where we are your accountability partners and we walk through the process with you, not just giving you the education, but listen, helping you do this. You get to
Mhm.
meet people like Coach Shaquan. She's in my network, y'all. And if you need her, she's there.
Yeah.
I got the plug, as they say. Thank you again. Look,
You're
I
welcome.
love
Thank
you,
you for having
girl.
me.
If I can
I love
be
you too. Thank
so
you.
what do you call it? Casual. As
Yes.
I'm in all night. I love you, Coach Shaquan. Thank you for always,
Thank
always
you.
answering the call. Every time I
Yeah, I
call you
appreciate you.
without hesitation.
Yes.
If there's anything I could ever do for you, let me know.
I'm
Y'all,
gonna let you know.
this has been another listen. I'm here. And listen, I wear tennis shoes too. I do walks and stuff like that. I give contributions. So call me. This has been
Okay.
another episode of Let's Talk. Meet us here this week and every week on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell when you know I'm on here doing my thing and acting all crazy. It'll let you know. Thank you again. Thank you, Coach Shaquan. See y'all
You're welcome. Bye bye. Take
later.
care. Thanks for joining us.